Ke dipotla tsa mosegorong bana ba letsuta letabele la Mabuse, bana ba itshwere ba gatlara, bana ba marutha malata, maruthese ba ruthetse se ba itee. Ga ba go semega ba go dire sepega ba ke ba go ritela le sufi. Ke bana ba Mamnoane Mabiletsa, mosadi wa letswele le lengwe, mosadi wa go ijela ditlhogo bo malome ba le teng. Ba ntlhakane apae, selaola utsa matlakala sebetsa dimeko, dikgong di le teng, dipotla be. Ke di himela tsa matswakunane tsa motshikiri lehuto. Thabela ke nna mofenyi malepa setlo tsa maboka mtlaka mamphela. Sela ne se serata sa gesh. People, you shall forgive me if I butchered sereto se. Ke Setswana. Batho ra sala le spedi di a tshwana. Di tshwana sa yeso. But I can try it because I want to offer this great legend the respect that he deserves. I had to introduce him this way. Because chances are that many of you don't even know Seretose because it took me 343 days to get this Seretose. So, without further ado, guys, probably heard the same in there. And I wanted to rush it quick so you must not know. But actually, who am I hosting today on KCI&MO's Corner? I'm just going to say this. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the legend. I'm even shaking, guys. Can you see? I was telling the guys, we must get things tidy. This man is spotless. His house is clean, like the most perfect house in the world. Let's make sure that everything else is out of the way so that you can enjoy this interview. I hope we did justice to this. Thobela Ntate Mabuse.
Thobela, warra.
I'm shaking, sir. I'm shaking because I've always wanted to do this, and I didn't know how to do it. And I'm glad I have these guys with me today. Before the interview, you said you love it when young people do things for themselves. We do unconventional TV, yeah? We're going to move away the black magic, yes, it's ours. Ntate Mabuse said he loves it when young people gather themselves and do things independently without expecting anything from anyone. Because lazy bones, they really bore him. Ntate Mabuse, I'm calling you Ntate, but go to Kone. Time. Most people might always say, yeah, I'm Ntate Hotstix, so what? Hey, for me, that question is very disrespectful because they don't know the journey that you've walked. All they see is just this time and they need. And they don't know much and how much you've sacrificed a whole lot of things. So you can make sure that you inspire the nation, you become the motivation so that people can find reason and purpose to live. I need you, sir, to a little bit tell us about yourself. I'm sure Wafana Mama Piano, Level Sister Mama Piano, Harare Sipho Hotstix Mabuse. Because what's all about what's all trying to buy? Why did you get the Come on, Ntate Mabuse.
Also do I need to repeat the same thing? Okay, let me say Ntate Mabuse is just an ordinary guy from the township where he grew up, but made music out of the township. And historically, I'm surprised that I'm still here making music still. You know, in spite of everything that I've gone through, the young people are still saying, tell us how you managed to stay 56 years in the industry.
Still quite a feat because a whole lot of people that you started with have passed on and others have let life dictate things for them. The Beaters. The Beaters. The first feeling.
That's where it all began.
Yep.
Actually, not. Actually, not. Maybe if we talk about the beaters, we're talking the level of the beginning of a professional career. But the music really started way before that. Way before. You know, some things are inherent. You know, some things happen because they have to happen. They don't happen because we think now it's, you know, that there is what you consider power that we cannot see. It's intangible, you know. It's called fate. It determines how you advance yourself through certain things in life. And I think for me, the Beatles were just fate, you know, coming across guys who we shared the same interests at high school because we were at high school. It's not like we met and we said we're going to form a band. No.
Guys, that line actually leads me to this question that every time when I hear this story, I want to cry. Not cry because I'm a great actor. I want to cry because some of us, we don't know actually things that we do that actually are the genesis of everything else that's going to be great about us. We're still somewhere around New Canada in a coal yard one winter evening.
Wow.
Please remind us.
You did your research. Not many people would even, you know, I think ambition had always driven us to want the best for ourselves. We're even willing to walk on the coal fire in order to be what we wanted. When we were at that coal yard, we had gone to see a man who we thought would, you know, assist us because he had money to buy us musical instrument. It was very cold. It was very cold. All I had was a shirt, you know, very light shirt. And we had to try and sit in the car, keep the engine running, and we didn't have money for petrol, you know. So every now and then we would walk outside just to make fire with that coal. But you know, when there's fire, it only attracts the front, you know, and the back suffers. So you have to be turning your back so that it heats. And at the same time, when you look the other way, your front gets, you know, gets cold. So we stayed until 4 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, it was one of those very challenging moments. And sad to say that we didn't even get the man to appreciate that we stood there to get him to buy us musical instruments. We left.
But God had a plan. God had a soul. God had this champ. By champ, I mean literal champ. Ntate Levy Maake.
Yes, an amazing man. I'm always praying that he lives long enough for me to do a tribute for him. And it's one of the things that I'm planning to do this year, God willing. You know, that man took up a fight, special fight, bought himself a train ticket and went to Cape Town to fight, and met us at Park Station to tell us that he's got the money to buy us the musical instruments.
Guys, I think I need you guys to understand this part.
Generosity at its best. That was his children's money, but we represented something to him that he felt he could take up that fight and buy us the musical instrument that we wanted.
Did you win the fight?
Yes, he won the fight. Sigabopa.
Guys, we're talking about a featherweight champ, South African featherweight champ. He decided these guys need musical instruments. And for me to at least have means to do that, I must have a fight so I can fight, win, get the money, and buy equipment. As he said, Ntate Mabuse, he took his own children's money so that he can see other children's dreams come to fruition.
took a battering as well. As a boxer, you know, you don't just hit, you get hit as well, you know.
We as SAMAL TV say we're saying it in front of everybody else. We don't have much. Bartima funding, but as you say, you don't want lazy bones. We'll keep on going. We would love to, if you allow us, be part of you honoring that Levy Maake. Tribute, his tribute to say, man amongst men, a real hero, guys.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I, you know, I'm just praying that he lives long enough to see me do that for him.
And you were in this beautiful special place in Highfield in a place called Rhodesia. There was a club called Mutanga.
Yo, I'm just fascinated by all this stuff, you know. I never imagined, you know, in most cases, people don't do this kind of research. It's things that everybody knows. People will be asking questions around things that you never imagine people will be talking about this. But you're coming from a different angle, talking about things that I could never imagine anybody, especially a young person, would bring to the fore. I'm amazed.
Thank you, sir. It's a pity. Balesa and Naledi, the two of you didn't want to give me the real scoop, but it's fine. It's a pity Balesa never returned the calls. Probably she's busy. Because before that, I wanted to. Everybody else will disrespect you and give you this thing. You just let the Sipho Hotstix Mabuse. For you, you are an instrument. We use you to have soundtracks in our lives, but we forget that there's a person behind the man who's giving that. There's a father, there's a friend. You know all these things.
Yes.
Maybe that's why we decided when we bring you to this chair, we need to honor you and respect.
The rocking chair for the oldies.
I was told that you finished up all the songs then in Rhodesia, and now you started jamming the entire 30 minutes.
Yeah, well, that did not happen in Rhodesia. No, it didn't happen in Rhodesia. It happened here. It was one of the concerts that we did, I think, and then at that time, of course, we didn't have load shedding. The power went off. I don't know the difference. The power went off, and because I used to practice a lot. You know, I used to practice. I was such a dedicated drummer that at some stage, you know, I used to practice at the Star Butcher in Dubai. And as I was practicing, guess who walked in there? The great Levy Maake, the greatest drummer to come out of this country, and Gilbert Matthews. Both of them were senior, excellent drummers. They must have been attracted by the sound of a drummer. And they walked in, and Ellie stood at the door and looked at me as I almost froze. But I just decided, no, I'm not going to. I kept playing and I kept playing. I could see him nodding his head. And he asked if you could sit on my kit. Can you imagine Elvin Jones saying to you, can I sit on your drums and play? And both of them were playing, showing me things both as, you know, the other one was writing and the other one was playing. But I had to do that as a single drummer. That's how, you know, I got to learn to do things. So coming to the power that went off, I think we're somewhere either in Ladysmith or Diepkloof. I can't remember exactly where the venue was. The power went off. And because of the training, the practicing that I did, it suddenly kicked off. You know, my skills just came in. And I was fit. You know, I used to run, I used to swim, I used to skip. I was like, you know, I was like a sports person. But I took all that training into the music. I mean, some of my colleagues could not understand why I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm on the road. When I come back, I find some of them are sitting at the bar there. And And I come in, I'm sweaty, you know. And I played. I played drums for 30 minutes. All I could hear was this applause. I could hear it. But it was almost like transcendental for me because I was taken into a whole spiritual journey of drumming until the power came on and I stopped. I wasn't tired. I was okay. And one of my fellow musicians at the time, I think it was Condry, he said, ha, 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 I know where your question is leading. I'm going to preempt it anyway. Or do you want me to allow you to ask the question?
No, you can,
or should
you can answer the question before we ask it.
I can preempt the question because I know where it's heading. Because it's been asked quite a few times, but I love the way you approach it. It's quite different. And he said, ha, ha, ha. Van, hi, we are some poetry. Oh, you, it's all AJ. Hotstix. Hey, we Hotstix, Pelam Fit. We are hot. And that's how I got the name Hotstix from Condry.
But Tumudum Dala doesn't lie. He just missed facts. I'm sure Ubaba went, hey, are you shy? What sticks?
Yeah. No, but because we grew up in the township, the lingua was more township-like, you know. Hey, Fanagit, hey, bruh. She's a serious. And that's how the name stuck.
Guys, the truth is.
And Condry would always be calling me Hotstix. They say Hotstix, you know. And
the name stuck.
The others would be saying Sips, but he would always be saying Hotstix.
Guys, I know Moja wants to say this, but he's afraid because we have a great legend here. Before we get all hot, let's take our sticks and go for an ad break, and then we'll come back and see what we do with those sticks.
SAMAL TV SA. SAMAL TV SA.
Guys, I was negative but Mabuse when I opened the show, you know, because I needed to give them respect. I even forgot to tell you that I'm sure you are aware of the surroundings. Right, this is politically incorrect settings. Yes, it is because it was raining. The legend came with lot of rain, so there was nothing we could do, guys. Right now I'm about to prepare his martini. Does not really like drinking, but we asked him just for TV, so it can look like we could, you know. We do these things. Lemonade for him. We try it, you know. Half the high legend is gonna say, hey, these kids things they make us do. I haven't done this, guys. Now I'm a milk stout kind of guy, you know, but I'm not making a milk stout. So
you know, one of the things that you said was Kidi Himela, Kidi Hamela. We need to correct that. Di Hamela. As a spedi di Hamel. Siamo già kuna.
Chi te lo rendi Hamel?
Di Hamela. Che sereto?
Ma so something. Guys, okay, this the legend says doesn't want it like the way we do it in my 2000 and my 80s, my almost 70s. How much of it said you are doing this?
The whole thing
the whole
there,
thing.
yeah.
Okay.
Then
the lemonade was fine.
You hold it there.
I hold it here.
Hold it in there.
I'm learning, guys.
How much lemonade have you poured in there?
This.
Lemonade?
Yeah.
No, you put lemonade. You put.
No.
Okay, let me look at the glass that you're using.
The real martini ones.
Yeah, put more lemonade.
Okay. Let me put more lemonade, guys. The legend has spoken. Siakalela.
Galela mfondini. Lungile. Okay.
Guys, it's even drowning the toothpick, sorry. Ooh-wee. Eish, Dikumza. Ki camera ya Dikumza ye. Ele bona my back. Then his name is Dikumza Leadership. Yo. Oh.
Ke di hame.
Okay, guys. Oh, the hammer gets on now. Okay, all right. Get on key. Where the hammer?
Wow. This is excellent. Excellent.
What's my name?
You're the champ.
Oh, yeah.
This is excellent.
You know, when I was still at SABC Sport, there's a great legend. This other day, he was sitting with me because I was a troublesome boy there at SABC. I didn't really want to follow protocol and normal things because they bored me.
Rules and regulations.
I wanted just to be that guy. You know, when everybody else is flying, now just drive. I'll book myself a car and drive and all these other things. And this other day, he was sitting with me saying, hey man, guys, are you aware that the roadcaster is not on? Gonja, how do we switch this thing on? Where? Here. This side. Yes. Another button. Hey, these guys, this thing is not on. All right, let's see. Now it's on. This legend I'm talking about, because he loved me very much. Because he said, I can't fault you on talent. I'm just giving you this history so you can understand. Actually, this thing is leading to you. I can't fault you on talent. But you are way out of order, young man. And sometimes talent alone cannot help you. You need a bit of discipline.
And hard work.
And he said, do you know Sipho Hotstix Mabuse? Yeah, in my head, like, okay, sport and Ntate Hotstix Mabuse, better guy, you know. But I kept quiet because an older man and he was giving us guidance. He was always giving us the reviews of our shows and stuff. And then I learned that actually this man invited you when you were in Rhodesia. Ntate Martin Locke.
Wow. You spoke about Martin Locke. Yes, he invited us to his show. You know, in fact, the Beatles were the first black. You know, the Beatles had mostly the firsts, many firsts, breaking barriers, you know, because I think our level of consciousness was that we would not allow our people to be humiliated. Rhodesia never had black people on television. And the Beatles were the first black group to appear on Martin Locke's show, which was very popular. It was a popular show in Rhodesia. Such that after we appeared on Martin Locke's show, we did a show at Queen's Hotel. Now, Queen's Hotel, black people were not allowed to come in there. It was all white audience. Now, with Rhodesia, the difference was that it was not law. There was no Group Areas Act. There was no Group Areas Act. There was a subtle racist, you know, tendencies of the white Rhodesians at that time. So it was almost like black people knew that there's certain places we cannot go. But for some strange reason, here was this black band performing for huge white audience. And we saw black people actually appearing on and we said to the manager, listen, no. It's packed, it's sold out. Sold out as a result of our appearance on Martin Locke's show. If you're not going to let some of our people in, then we're not doing the show. No, but guys, we said there's no rule in Rhodesia, there's no Group Areas Act. You are imposing it on people. Either we agreed that those who can afford to come in can come in. Or alternatively, we leave. The guy was asked, how are we going to do this? We said, well, let them in. They'll decide what they want to do, where they want to go and sit. And that's how Queen's Hotel opened up to black people attending. Now, the story beyond Queens, it also happened in South Africa. It started actually here in South Africa because I think politically we were clear about who we were, and perhaps we were not pushing boundaries in terms of changing the mindset. We felt that if we cannot get the respect that we deserve, if our people cannot get that kind of respect, how do we then expect to get the respect? The Himalaya Hotel in Durban was an all Indian and colored affair. No black people would be allowed to go in there except those who washed dishes and those who cleaned windows and cleaned the place. And there we were on the stage in an afternoon show to perform. In fact, when we saw this man, the manager, we walked into his office. I think he was a temporary manager, Mr. Green. We just knocked into his office and he's, yes? Who are you? We are a band. We love what we are hearing on stage. I think what took him off was the accent. He stood up. He said, okay, where are you guys from? We said, no, we're from Joburg. And you say you're a band? I said, yes. And you want to play here? No black people are allowed to play here. We said, well, there's always the first, Mr. Green. There was a band called the Flamingos on stage. It was a lunch hour gig. And as he was leading us to the stage, he spoke to the band leader. He said, these guys say they're a band. Can we let them go and play? Let's see what it is that they can do. And we could feel the tension. Most of the audience that was there, because they're having lunch. It's Indian people and coloreds. We said, okay, guess what we played first? Take Five. Take Five was the first track we played. These people had never seen a drummer who could play drums like that.
You know, it's one of those, when you mention this part, you remind me of what I've heard. It's you know, I don't know, it's an oxymoron of some sort. It's I don't know, I forgot the term in film. It's, you get this excitement but in a set state. Apparently there was even a jazz festival that was termed Harare Festival.
Yes.
Where 4 people died in the stampede.
Yes.
This is not the first that you want, but this type of incidences probably made you realize who you were actually in South Africa.
Well, you know, we could not quantify our worth based on that tragedy. But for some strange reason, the Harare Festival was catalyst. It was huge, you know, because this was new music for South Africans and they've never heard it. We had just come back from Rhodesia. And sadly, the promoter who did that show brought in hi-fi speakers. You know, you bring in hi-fi speakers to run a festival. Perhaps because he was used to playing jazz on Sundays, and he thought his, Telefunken would carry out 30,000 people. Tempest, Telefunken, Blaupunkt, you know, all those kind of things. He brings it to the show for us to perform. And of course, the power went off as well. And I remember You know, as we were coming on, the crowd was screaming, yeah. You know, now we were, and on stage there was the late Bra Philip Tabane.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
he had just played. Bra Philip was easy because for him it was guitar and the drums. So it was okay.
I can't believe I ever heard of matsogo, yeah.
No, they never di bapala ka di-sticks le
Never
Mabile.
tell like
I think it was Mabile and Trainer, Libra Philip, the two of them. That was Malombo, you know. And but when we arrived, the sound wouldn't work. And people waited patiently. And people, Bra Philip said, Tsameka, man, akere kilona di stars.
Maybe you should have said Tommy Kang. I can really H-com.
And as you were saying that, we could tell that people were impatient. And we couldn't do much, you know, because there was no power, there was no sound. We dependent on power, sound, and the sound quality sound system. One guy was standing there, and others were sitting on stage. You know, people had no respect for stage at the time because the security guys would stop people from. I mean, these guys were sitting there like on stage. I mean, these guys are, and this other guy, he has a beer can, and I remember so vividly. You know, this guy says, man, man. Instead of the can hitting us, it hit the guy who was sitting on the stage. The guy he took the same thing and just threw it randomly. That was chaos.
Yeah.
Because it hit the wrong person, and one can after the other, bottle after the other. And people, now there were, all those guys were sitting on the grandstands. They came running towards the stage, and some of them were singing, Mama ne, Mama ne, Mama ne, Harari. They were singing the song, and they wanted to burn the thingy, the van, our J7, and Selby was inside. They were trying to light the match to throw into the petrol tank, and we had to open the door, and Alec came out and he tried to drive the car. Wow, it was chaos. We had to call the cops. The cops came, and of course, in a fit of fear, they reacted maybe unexpectedly and wrongly. They fired shots, and that's how those four people died. You know, on Monday, the newspapers had our faces in the middle page, middle spread. The whole middle page spread had the beaters are big-headed. The front page was tragedy at Harare Festival. Then, as you know, the newspapers, you go to a next page, you find that whole, in fact, publication carried the story Sahab, Mamelodi, and Harare. I think it was Hartreeville or Mamelodi Stadium.
Because everything else there in Pretoria then. You spoke of they wanted to burn the van, and inside there was Babantu.
Yes.
There was a moment, another sad moment, where he had to shuffle off the motor call and leave this world. And you were given, I would call it the Peter Gabriel moment, where now you had to take charge. What was going on through your mind, because now you had lost a friend, a bandmate?
Yeah, it was a very difficult moment, very, very difficult, because even then, you know, when that happened, there was it was a really a freak death, because it wouldn't have been expected. Selby died. I took him home the day before. We had been with Sanko, Uhuru, then Botsepotsola, you know. We had a party for them, and I drove him home. The following day, we were supposed to meet again where Uhuru was staying. And instead of Selby coming, some women come. They're all crying, you know, and they're saying to me, "Oh, Bralaki Nchabeleng comes, says, Sipho, please go outside. Kibabo Ntwina Mona Boskempi, they are crying, but Selby is late." I said, "Selby? I was the last person to be with Selby. I dropped him at home. It couldn't, and only there's a gentleman on around there, his name was Selby as well. So I was, for me, it did not, you know, click that it could be the same person. And I thought about Braselby, maybe that's who they are referring to. And they said, "Sipho, no, you have to go. Selbu hlokafetse ke rena home." I said, "We are hlokafala." But now I started shaking, you know, and I thought it could be true. And we got into a van. It was myself, Tsepotsula, Frank, and Black Jesus. 4 of the Uhuru guys. Frank Liapa.
For those who don't know.
And I was driving and I was really flying now. And these guys, I could hear them say, "Hey, let's hope it's not true." You know, just as we got to Diepkloof, Selby's home, we turned right and I saw the hearse, the black Marai.
Guys, don't want to disrupt the old person when he's speaking, especially when he's speaking about matters like this. But more just forcing me to take a commercial break, maybe because we just need to chill a bit.
So when I saw that before we even go, I couldn't believe it. I still did not believe. And as I walked in, his father met me and said, "There's your friend, he's cold." I went in there, I found him. He was still cold. I couldn't believe it.
Don't have to say, let's go to a commercial break.
SAMAL TV SA. SAMAL TV SA.
We're back again, guys, and we're still giving time and or hour, you know, if you didn't have a house up or a sorry saying up a little bit. Before the break, guys, I wouldn't want to be there. But I think it is very important and relevant so you can understand the pains that the legends go through, and sometimes they don't even say it. They go to bed every day with that pain, and there's no one that they really talk to, because all we want is for them to be strong, our heroes, and they don't break. That moment was important. Another important part is this one. Now, there's a song called Pico, Steve Pico, Pico. I'm a horrible singer. I know that. That's why I always do the remixes. But Peter Gabriel. There's a moment all the time when I think of Peter Gabriel. Without faith, or when I think of Ntate Mabuse, I think of Peter Gabriel. When I think of Peter Gabriel, I think of Ntate Mabuse. Genesis, Harare, then they break out and they become solo artists. Ntate Mabuse, that moment, you leaving your friends, you leaving your bandmates, you leaving the cock of who became you. And now, I won't say you're this biggest superstar, because you've been there, the biggest star at the Beatles. Now you're alone. It's probably at that moment you are here now. Like, I was here, now I'm here. But doesn't it get lonely at that time now that you are a solo artist? What's going on through your mind at that time?
I think it's important to state that I did not leave. I was left.
Okay. All right.
You know, the music industry, maybe, yeah. Artists are people with a sense of importance. Sometimes we tend to believe the hype around us. We had amazing musicians in that band, international, right at the top. Now, the narrative that was going around is that they, you know, because I was a drummer, you see, they were in the front. They are carrying me. Maybe in a way, my leadership style was not what they would have expected, because I actually and sincerely wanted us to be like all these guys that we see at international level. And the only way we could do that was to be professional. Maybe in my own ambitious approach to leadership, I lost the sense of interacting with ordinary people. I lost sight of what the purpose of what we were all about. And they probably felt the same way. They could not understand why I was always emphasizing the level of professionalism that we must pursue. I mean, at some stage, guys will be saying to me, oh, okay. And they conspired. They conspired to say, I am Jinda. And the Harari split in America, not in South Africa. We had a recording deal with one of the major record companies, A&M Records, where Herb Alpert was, Sting, all, Go-Go Girls. I mean, this is where we would be meeting people like Maurice White, Earth, Wind and Fire, Brothers Johnson. This is where Brad Kaifos used to work. So when that happened, for me, it was one of the most painful, it was like breaking up of a marriage that was working, that was perfect.
But there's this thing they called elders of fate, life controlled by greater men. I call Ntate Hotstix. Yet things and big dreams.
Yeah. Trust me, when that happened, at some stage I felt lonely. It was a very difficult transition. It was a difficult transformation for me. I even got invitation from other bands as a drummer. I mean, like the late Johnny Clegg with, their drummer Levy called me, says, wouldn't you like to come and play in our band? And I couldn't take up any position with any other band because I was a band leader. So if I was going to join another band, it meant that I would be their drummer. That's all I'd be. And I took a hiatus, and decided maybe it's time I took a little break. I was under pressure, No, don't get me wrong. It was one of those moments, you're right at the top. How do you then retain? Even the media was writing these stories. The saddest thing about that split, it did not hurt me alone. It hurt the people that loved the band so much. Because I remember we had been at a concert at the Colosseum. Juluka were performing and Hotline, and some of the top bands were performing at that time. And we had agreed when we split that this is not going to go to the media. But for some strange reason, my colleagues betrayed their trust. They had given a story to the media. I went to the toilet. I get to the toilet. I hear guys screaming. You know, it's a Saturday evening. The newspapers at that time are out in the streets. I think it must have been about 10 o'clock. And I hear this guy says, gents, who's Harari is splitile, and they didn't see me. Yeah. I mean, it was a shock to them. Hey, and I saw these guys, you know, around the newspaper, the Sunday Times, had a front page of the story. How bafowethu kwenzenjani? Harari splitile. They didn't even talk about Sipho. Harari. Because that's the band they loved. They loved that band dearly. And the band had split. You know, I could not even enjoy the show that night. I even decided, no, let me go home. I went home. I couldn't sleep the whole night. And I stayed for a few months. I didn't do anything. And eventually decided to go into the studio. I recorded a track, Set Me Free. It was just coincidental, you know. You keep on changing your mind. Wow. 200,000 seller. Boom. And I still recorded it as Harari. Not as a solo artist. I recorded it as Harari, but the guys were not there anymore. 200,000 seller. Then I did Rise. You know, everything was almost like prophetic. I did Rise. 250,000 seller. So, wow. It's almost my solo career can take off. I don't need to tell you the rest of the history. Everything was burning.
To show that they could not, well, everything was burning, but they could not burn the desire, the dream, and everything else. Burnout.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. Refused to burn out South Africa. Because everywhere we went, taxi ranks. Some of us were very young. We will see our parents who were on the brinks of divorces holding and dancing to this song and everything else. They're refusing to burn out.
It brought marriages together.
You see? At that time, you are healing.
I was healing.
The late Ntate Funky, when he was still alive, we used to greet each other, me and him, this way, because it's something that actually, I think, stems from Harare. But apparently you were never part of it, because as you say, we get all the time, come on here, come on home. That's how we used to greet each other with the legend. Please take us through a moment when you wrote the song. Because I can guarantee you that half of South Africa don't even know that this song was penned by you. Give. The moment. Because even today, as we speak, that song still speaks to everyone. That song will continue to speak to everyone in 2045, 2092, eternity. There must be a certain type of lidlozi badimu baha mabuse babatlileng, because Bernard, I see in terms of popularity, musical arrangement, and everything else about it was perfect.
I think I wrote that song out of a sense of benevolence, what I understand to be charitable to others. You know, I've always felt that if I have more, I can always share with others whatever I had. I was going to sing that song, in the studio because we had rehearsed it, and Peter Gallo came to Rodiport when we were rehearsing the song. It was just magical, but for some strange reason, my voice couldn't cut it out. Masike Funky came to me and said, "Sips, I said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, I said, "Yeah, go ahead." He went in there. One take hit, no repeats. He just killed it. We didn't ask him to redo it again. It was just a spontaneous feel. I mean, all of us, the guys, were like so animated, motivated, inspired by what was going on around there. And Give became a monstrous hit.
It's something else. This other day I was with the crew driving to PE.
You know, while you stay, let me just extend my, my gesture, if I have to say. I was driving in LA with, and I was playing it in the car. I was with Lorraine and her sister who I was dating. And they knew Harari very well. And we started playing Give. All of us said nobody's ever going to sing that song like Masike. Nobody. We can sing it, but the feel and the energy that he brought into the song is completely different. And we drove, and Give was just playing and playing. And I said, yeah, nobody's going to sing that song like Funky.
I'm just saying the same thing. For those who don't know who Ntate Masike is, guys, we're talking about this hero. This one. Zikem, this one. This is the person who sang the song like nobody will ever sing like him. And I'm talking about somebody else who just lived probably across that day. His house was here and yours was here.
Right.
Uh,
He's actually the one that led the Exodus.
How so?
Because people kept on going to him and saying, yazi leya group ngeke ibe right ngaphandle kwakho. When you have a mindset that makes you believe what others are saying around you. He was great talent, but Harari was there before he was there. He added value, to what we were doing, but he didn't make what we had done. I mean, he came 15 years after Harari had been whoever Harari the Beaters were. But because there were all these other people who were, the black man syndrome of bring him down, jealousy, jealousy, people would go in and start instilling all negative energy. And if you believe the hype, and this is one of the things that I always tell young people, do not believe the hype, because it's only a hype. Because when you're faced with the reality of what your life is about, then you understand. And I used to also tell my friend Ray Peary, I said, Chikapa, you know what? The media would always help you rise, and they'll write about you. But when you roll down, they won't be there to stop you. Now, what is critical, it's easy to deal with fame, but it's difficult to deal with the loss of that fame. When people don't recognize you, when people don't even talk about you, how do you adapt to a new situation? We can walk around with, I am, Hotstix, I am everything that everybody thinks I am. But wait until the time when people don't even see, now you have to say, Nikki Bina. You know?
Yeah.
Onobina. Onobina le bomang. How? How to be Harari. Now I have to say that. And for me, I'm not encumbered by that kind of stuff. You know, people must appreciate me for who I am and what I'm gifted to do. Beyond that, there is nothing. And these things do not belong to us. They come through us. They don't belong to us. It's something that can end up like that. We are merely the conduit, you know, to represent what God has brought us here to do. That's all we are, you know.
Yeah, guys. Hotstix knows conduit. It's not your everyday English. Basically, it means the thoroughfare, the passage. With all that he said, Ntate Funky passed on while he was still his friend. They were still friends, you know, even though he left the Exodus. Ntate was a
I don't bear grudges. And I'm always gracious with some of my colleagues. And I always believe, you know, like I was saying, these things don't belong to us. We may probably carry ourselves such that we believe that we are mightier, but it's only God who makes us who we should be.
I know my director's gonna kill me for this, but it's Hotstix, guys. Never knew this moment is like a solar eclipse moment. Even we do a 7-hour show, but yeah, that was on this show. Normally because I wanna come back. Reason why I wanna come back to the part, education. I think it's very, very important what he has done, and if you're not going to bite or take something out of that, no, would love say.
That's why I can. That's why I can use the word conduit.
On this show, normally what we do, we have the legends' signatures because we believe if we have their signatures on this wall of legends,
the wall of fame.
Yeah, well, this is fame is another thing. They say I must direct you, sir, to sign on this side because it goes this way, it goes this way, so that we must know that you were once here.
Sign your name across my heart. I want you to be my baby.
They say you must sign this side, sir, because if it goes in there, then your signature must just be somewhere. Yes. Thank you. And normally on this show, sir, to show our gratitude and everything else for legends.
Oh wow!
We thought you might need this.
Wow!
And this is the original, sir. Where is that business card? There was a business card that's needed. Sir, this is from us here at SAMAL TV. Chances are that you might have lost this and we thought.
Sure.
They've never given you a diamond certified award. This is from us, sir. You can hold it, it's yours.
Thank you so much.
We're saying there isn't much that we can do.
You're out of order.
But we appreciate your presence, we appreciate who you are to us, to the world, and can we multiply the energy that you are, because the mortal that you are, it will never be equal to anything. There would never be any supermarket ever again, but your energy in the world. So you can.
Thank you. I'm humble. This is humbling, honestly. I wasn't expecting any gifts except just gratitude, and this is more than just what I had thought. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. May you be blessed beyond what you're doing. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
Omana Selby, can you point him out here?
And another thing, sir, we're giving you a lot of things to do.
Food, tea, martini,
Like, that's how much we love you, sir. And they told us that you might love this as well.
Ha! Now this is the gift from the givers. Wow. 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 You know, I've waited for this book for the past 2 years, 3 years, or maybe even 4, or maybe even 30. You know, very special people wrote it. This is about us. This is about who we should be today in here. Thank you.
And again, unfortunately, I was not there. I wish I would have had more stories. But about there's a gentleman whose business card, if you see it and you see the name, you're gonna cry. I don't know the story. Maybe you do.
Wow. Oh, Benji. Wow. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Wow, I'll call him. We've come a long way with it. Wow. Hey, I know there's so many people that I am celebrating and I'm celebrating with as well.
I can hold this for you as well, sir.
Did you
Yeah,
Baba Mfundisi sign? Wow.
Well, I'm going to go to my chair right now, guys.
I always call him the terrorist bishop.
We'll start with the old man. I'm going to take a seat and let him.
No, it's true. You know, he was declared that. He's a member of MK, by the way. He's a soldier. I'm not saying anything I don't know. You know, the Bobosi Pikoli, they were all in Lesotho and all that. So the beaters were always privileged to have to be with those people.
Guys, I don't know which camera is facing me because it looks like every camera is facing that. My moment of glory is gone now.
Jealousy makes you nasty.
Before we wrap up, guys, I'm sorry for the long segment. I would love us to touch on the education part because this is a person, or should I say, a legend, a great man who does everything else. Like, I'm sure if you were to take this phone and call the president and ask the president, this is what I need tomorrow, this. They will rush and say, don't worry, it doesn't have to be tomorrow.
Which president, by the way? Sorry.
The president that comes from MK, whichever president. So the decision, you had everything else. I believe we go to school, most of us, not really for the knowledge, but because we want to advance certain things in life. But you had everything else at your disposal. Now that them are everywhere. Worldwide, globally. I'm not sure about other planets, but I'm sure aliens know you as well. So the rationale and the thinking behind going back to school. It's not like this is your English or something. It's not like this is
Wow. You know, I think I grew up in a society that emphasized the value of education before, you know, and for me it was important to understand how knowledge is acquired. Knowledge is acquired by learning, you know, by interacting, you know, by exploring, researching, and all that stuff will come through education, you know. And I did not need to go back to school because I needed employment. Who would employ a 60-year-old man, you know? Unfortunately, the system has been created to give an impression that the only way people have got to get an education because it would provide them with material benefits. Education is not about that. Education is about empowerment of the mind, knowledge. That is where the power, you know, that's the best currency, you know. And I also believe that perhaps one could inspire and motivate younger people who probably believe or who feel it's not possible to go back to school. And incidentally, when this whole thing around my education came up, you won't believe I was told that the registration of people who wanted to go back to school just shot up. And I thought to myself, well, we all have a responsibility to our people, society, especially to young people. If we can play the role of motivating them into doing something positive. Mine was to actually motivate them to go back to school. I have made my little contribution to society. I'm not a teacher. I'm a learner. There are, you know, teaching is a skill as well. That's why I went back to school, because I wanted to be taught. Otherwise, I could have stayed home and, you know, I've got books and books and books. I actually have a library this size, you know, to read. I could have stayed home, but I wanted to be taught so that I understand better. Now, if I'm going to say to people, because I play saxophone, I'm going to teach them, I'll be doing a disservice to those young people, because I won't be teaching them. I'll be making them to be like me. Teaching is a skill that is completely different to performing. And I don't want to feel that I am teaching people to be Sipho Hotstix. No. I will say to them, go to school to a teacher who can sit at the board and teach you certain fundamentals, rudiments of how you create music or how you create or play an instrument. That is, I always tell them, I can show you how you begin, but the rest of it, go to school and get to be educated by the right teachers.
You heard it, guys. You heard it. I would love to keep him here for extra 3 hours so that I can set, you know, all the knowledge and, you know. But unfortunately, he's got matters that he needs to attend to. Before we wrap up, sir, I think facing that camera that's yours, I would love for you, if you feel like that. There's a whole lot of things that I still needed to ask you, probably 95 questions. But what you feel like you need to part with our audience, so that by the time we speak of Ntate Mabuse as was, they always take what you said on SAMAL TV on that day?
I think it's, and this I always say, whether it's written or it's said on TV or on radio, I will always appreciate evolution, especially coming from younger people doing things differently. But it's also very important that younger people do not believe the hype, because then it detracts from the value that they can bring to society, because they're so encumbered by hype and they forget their purpose. So you get into there and be who you are for the sake of your people, for the sake of your future and the future of those who come after you. And I do hope that I have imparted that level of, thinking amongst the younger people that I've worked with. And hopefully they will carry it through. Don't believe the hype.
Don't believe the hype. Guys, I don't know normally how I wrap up the show, but today I decided I want to try and sound very smart, so that when the Hotstix leaves this place, like, that young man, that man was slave, yo. If you want the garden of goods, they say you get the trees young. So start from wherever you are. And believe in me, you'll reach wherever you want to go. From me, Stroll Summer Welcome to Ramampe, Ofeni Maleb. I'll still love to host Bro Hotstix here and ask him further questions until we meet again.
I wanna take you back to the days of your born chaka chaka, to my like another future, which is Deza and my brother. Gone are the days when artists had that raw talent. Now the industry has gotten feminine like Honda Ballet. We dedicate this one to musicians that left legacy, those with us and those who had to face death tragically. We miss you, we hope to meet you in next life. Show me your L's for Aliyah Lebo and left.
Let me take you back to the beginning when songbirds were singing and bringing down the house with tunes that stayed ringing.
SAMAL TV SA. When there's nothing else, reimagine.